had some time today to come on and just talk about the job that I do. I do ride sharing / delivery, and it's been a little bit of a concern for me, just because every time I go to fill up with gas, which is usually about every, if I'm really careful, about every 3 to 4 days. Sometimes I can make my tank stretch to about 5 days. But I thought, I would like to share, in case this video might help other people who also do rideshare, and rideshare and delivery. That would be like your Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, even the grocery delivery services. I am signed up with Point Pickup Driver, and then I just signed up to a new one. I think it's called Spark, and it's like operated and run through Walmart. And I'm also signed up with Instacart, but I haven't done Instacart for months. But it is a backup that I have in case I can't do any of the other platforms. At least I have my backups. But the main ones that I do, I mainly do DoorDash, Uber Eats. I do some Grubhub, and then when things are slow, I will do Lyft. And what works for me, and what helps me, because I'm very, very conscientious about how many miles I drive per order or per ride. The bad thing with Uber and Lyft, as far as taking passengers, is they do not pay you for the pickup. And I haven't driven for Uber since, as far as like just rideshare. I mean, yeah, I'll do Uber Eats quite a lot, but the thing that I can't stand about Uber is I like to see the full trip details, how much I'm getting paid, which now they include the expected tip, which, I mean, that is helpful. But the thing that Uber has is, in order to see all of the upfront details, how far it is, how many miles to your passenger, and then how many miles the ride is to their drop off. You see a map, so you can see like what area of town it's in. But in order to see all of that, you have to accept five out of your last 10 rides. If you go below, meaning like you've declined, then they're going to take that feature away from you. And of course, last year I did it all the time. For the first 3 years of ride sharing, I drove Uber and Lyft, just passengers, just all the time. But because gas prices being the way they are, and I have a very specific model that I like to follow. I don't like, I guess just because I'm kind of a control freak, I don't like being told that I have to do these rides, even though it could be a 20-minute drive just to pick them up, and then they're only going 2 miles. And I just, for me, and my husband is completely different, I don't like being told that I have to accept a certain amount of rides just to see all of the trip details up front. Now, Lyft doesn't do that. And so when the delivery side of my job is slow, I will pull up Lyft, and at least right now, I see all of the upfront details, exactly how much I'm going to get paid. I see how far away it is to pick up my passenger. Now, of course, I have to kind of figure in my mind, because if it says, it's let's see, if it says it's like 12 minutes away, I figure 2 minutes per mile, because a lot of my driving is in town. And as you know, if you live in a city, that makes it a lot slower. So I figure, okay, I've got 6 miles that I have to drive just to pick up a passenger. And so the upfront details, it tells me how many minutes it's going to be to pick up the passenger, but then it will show me the actual miles I'm going to be driving this passenger and approximately how long that trip is going to take. And so my rule of thumb, because the cost of gas, it just keeps going up and up and up and up, and it's like I get my gas at Sam's. My oldest son, he has a membership, and so he downloaded everything on my phone. I've got his membership number, and I just scan and go. But even with that, every 3 or 4 days, it's gone up more. Like the last time I filled up a couple days ago, $5.72 a gallon. And so what I do because of this is I have to get $2 per mile. So I like on Lyft, I only take the really short ones. If it's an 8 or 10 minute pickup, I figured that's between 3 to 5 miles. And if they're going 5 miles, then I need to get close to $8 to $10 for that trip for it to be even worth it for my time and the amount of gas that I am burning when I'm driving my car. Now, what I do with the delivery, and this would be Grubhub, Uber Eats, and DoorDash, is and my son got me on this. He's like, no tip, no trip. And I'm pretty staunch on that. The only time I will take a delivery if there's no tip, because you see all of this stuff up front. You see what the tip is, and there's a separate app that I use that helps me see this additional information. The only time I will not take a delivery on one of the platforms, if it's not showing a tip, is if there's a promotion going on DoorDash. And DoorDash is nice because a lot of times the hours that I drive, it's usually like the breakfast hours, because I'm out between 3 and 4 a.m. every morning, about 6 days a week. And they have these peak pay times where it might be $1 extra per order that you're paid, or $1.50 I've seen even up to $3 per order. Now on that, I will take orders that have no tip. But of course, I figure in the total amount of miles. And what's nice where I live in the zone that I work in for DoorDash is I'll just go to a parking lot where like Pete's Coffee is, and I'll just sit there. I'll just park. I'll turn my car off. I've got my tablet playing, my sermons that I listen to, and I'll just wait. And a lot of the orders that I get through DoorDash, the customers tip really well, and so that really helps. But a lot of the orders that come in, it'll only be 1.5 mile drive. And with DoorDash, and I believe Grubhub too, it's the total distance, the amount of miles to get to the restaurant and then also to the customer. And so I really look at that, and I still stick with my $2 per mile, so that I am making the most income for the least amount of gas driven, if that makes sense. And I have another app that I use on my phone. When I start work, I switch it on, that I'm heading to work, and it keeps track of the miles that I drive every day. And what I've been trying to do is, like, Monday through Thursday, I try not to drive more than like 65, 70 miles total for my work day. Now, of course, I will end up driving more miles on like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, because the weekends are always busier and I stay out longer. But I've really tried to fine tune my job, because as I'm, keeping track of the miles that I am driving for my job, my motto is I need to make the most amount of income for the least amount of miles driven. And so it's like I'm always trying to figure out ways, to just really just maximize, everything that's available to me. And yeah, it will get boring, just sitting in parking lots. And one of the troubles that I have is I have to stay busy, just active, just go all the time, because if I sit down too long, I will start to get sleepy, and that's not good. So anybody that knows me, what I do is, it's like, I'll sit for maybe 10-15 minutes. I'm just, watching my tablet, just waiting for an order or a Lyft ride to come in. And if I start getting groggy, then I just get out of my car and, I walk around a little bit. I take my phone with me so I'm not missing any orders. And usually, I'll have, a half a cigarette or something, just any kind of action that will keep me alert and awake. And so just thought, I haven't done a video for the rideshare part of my job in a long time. And I will put this in my my rideshare playlist, because if the things that I am doing that I see is just keeping my fuel costs to as little as possible, if it's helping me, I don't mind sharing the things that work for me. Now, see, my husband, he's like completely different. He will do the longer pickups, because what he goes for is the ride bonuses. And Uber and Lyft, they will each do different things. And so he's always looking at his promotions in Uber and Lyft. And like Uber right now, they will give him like a 2-hour window. And like a couple weeks ago, he was getting like $9 extra per ride. And so when he sees this, he's looking at that, and then he's looking at the surge map. And so he kind of structures his work a little bit differently. And yes, he will end up spending a little bit more in gas. But I think with me, I'm just not interested in driving long distances, because I do get sleepy, and that's always been a concern. That's why, like in my car, I will keep like hard candy in my car. And it's like, if I'm sucking on a hard candy, that's keeping my mind alert. And so I'm always, doing that. And, one trick that helps is, if you start to feel yourself getting groggy, or you're just kind of getting into the autopilot that sometimes we get in when we're driving long distances, is you just turn your head and you just look from side to side, and just anything you can do to keep your brain alert. If that means you roll down your window so cold air can kind of help wake you up. That's why I even when I was just strictly doing Uber and Lyft, just the rideshare, taking passengers, I would be stopping all the time, getting out of my car, just breaking up the momentum, the monotony, so then I wasn't getting sleepy and stuff. And I realized that this job isn't for everyone, but if you're really, really careful, you can make a decent living. This is the only job that me and my husband have, and we like our job because we are able to set our own schedule, work as little or as long as we want to, and the whole thing is maximizing your time to make the most income. And so yeah, that's what I do with gas prices and stuff, just keeping going up. And I keep a spreadsheet, and I write out all the bills that are due a month, and then I break that down over each week, so that I know, okay, when I get paid every week, this is how much has to go to fuel, to groceries, to this bill and to that bill, and that helps me stay focused when I can see everything in front of me. And over the last several weeks, I've been able to cut my fuel costs down by $50 a week. Now, I have to be very, very careful with that, and that's why I'm so strict about how much I drive and how many miles per trip. And I have to get at least $2 per mile, no tip, no trip, because I have to figure in all of this. And it's like, even when I do my grocery shopping, I get certain things every week. It's just the same things every week for me and my husband, to have our meals. But I have my calculator out on my phone, and it's like everything I put in my cart, I am adding up, because I have a budget. I can only spend about $80 or $90 a week in groceries. And it's like, I don't do public assistance for anything. I don't even know if I would qualify for like food stamps or anything, but I refuse to be in that system. And so it's like every penny that we make, it has to be accounted for. And so what I've been able to do with my gas costs is I have been able to get by on $200 a week, which that's my gas, and that is my grocery cost a week. And so it's basically between $110 and $120 a week for my gas, and that's if I'm really, really careful. And I've still made everything that I need to make to pay my bills. And this is one of those things that I've really had to rely and trust in God for his provision. And it's like, I know if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm going to work every day, and I'm putting in the hours, and I'm just trusting him to have all the income that I need, then I know he's going to make sure that everything's there. And of course, with the fuel costs and stuff, and how I've been doing everything in my head, and really trying to make the most amount of money for the least amount of miles driven. I'm thinking ahead to the future, because if gas goes $10 a gallon, I'm going to be, me and my husband, we've talked about this, and we're like, well, we would just assume that the rideshare companies and the delivery companies are going to have to pay us more. But you know what? They're extremely greedy. At least Uber and Lyft are. And so I can't even depend on them doing the right thing. And so if it gets to that point, which it very well could, because they are reprogramming, that they're starting to reprogram the pumps now to accommodate $10 or more per gallon. And so at that point, I might have to refigure my budget and allow a little bit more for gas. I'm going to try not to add too much, because I want to just do as little as possible. But I'm going to be even more strict on making sure that I get paid for all of the miles that I'm driving and my time. And so for me, I kind of switched from doing just strictly rideshare, meaning passengers, to now I mostly do just deliveries, and I enjoy the deliveries because I don't have to drive so far, and I get paid better, and the tipping from the customer is a lot better with delivery. And so yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at, just the things that are always going through my mind. And it's good to have your budget so that you can see everything that's coming in and going out, and to start planning ahead for the future. And yeah, we don't know exactly what the future is going to look like for us. And that's where we're going to have to really just rely on God to provide all of our needs. But with the type of job that I do, I have been able, these last 2+ years with COVID, I have been able to keep my job without having to compromise my religious beliefs, my medical beliefs. I have not had to, take the jab, which I'm very, very thankful to God, because that was a major worry and concern that I had. And I had already made up my mind that, if these companies that I'm an independent contractor on, if they try to force us to do this, I will not be working for them anymore. And I still have that stance, and praise God that they never went that route. And I have a lot more relax and ease feeling that they're not going to, because a lot of places are all back to normal now. There's no mask mandate. There's no jab mandate. I mean, some places, some schools still require, students to wear it. Some of your healthcare facilities, hospitals, doctors' offices, they still require patients and employees to have that. But like my doctor that I have to see a couple times a year, not once has he asked me about the jab. Do I want the jab? He asked me other things, as I'm getting older, about menopause and different tests and stuff, but not once has he asked me or tried to berate me. I mean, he doesn't even know my stance, because he's just never asked me. So I'm thankful that I have a really good doctor. And, yes, I do have to wear a mask when I go in to see my doctor. But it hasn't been bad. And so, for all of these things, God knows me. He knows how I'm made, and all my quirks and the things that worry me and stress me. And he just took care of everything. And so I find that, as the weeks go on, and I have seen the faithfulness of God to provide exactly what I need every week to make sure all my bills are paid, and all of that my stress and my anxiety keeps going down, because I could see firsthand just God's faithfulness to me in my life and in my family's life. And so, just be encouraged knowing that, God is going to take care of us. And no, we don't know what's coming down the road. I mean, we can see the warning signs, like scripture talks about, it's like birth pangs. We can see these things. But God alone is the only one that knows what's in each and every one of our futures. And so just keep trusting in him, keep resting in him. You will know the things that God wants you to do. And if he is leading you to move in this area, you move in that area. And I still look back, like with my job, because I knew I needed to get back to work in 2018, right after my dad died. My dad died in April of 2018, 10 months after my mom. And so that summer of 2018, because we lost a significant portion of income, I knew I had to get back to work. And I had been a travel agent for many, many years. And I had stopped when I had my youngest son to, just be home with my kids. And I really enjoyed the travel industry and being a travel agent. And so I redid up my resume. I did everything. And, I went online to the online places, where you can put your resume and see different job listings for different things. And I had a couple of interviews for a travel agent, but I was very specific in my prayer to God. And I said, keep the doors closed that you don't want me at, and only open the door to the job that you want me to have. And I just trusted in God. And honestly, I just assumed, because that's what I had done in the past. That's where I had experience. That's where I was good at, that was where God was going to have me get back into the work field. Nobody offered me a job, nothing. And yes, it was a little discouraging. And then my mother-in-law, she had a stroke that same year in 2000. In December of 2018, my stepfather-in-law passed away. And it was really hard on my mother-in-law. And in January, she had a stroke. We almost lost her. But God was gracious to her and pulled her through that. But when that happened, it I feel it woke my husband up, because he was like, we got to find a job. And so he was all prepared that he's going to do Uber and Lyft. And of course, I had heard of Uber and Lyft, but I thought, there's no way my husband's going to let me do that and have strangers in the car. He's not going to let me do that. And so when he brought up that he's going to start driving for Uber and Lyft, I said, well, I've thought about doing it, but I just assumed you wouldn't let me do it. Being a woman and having strangers in the car, I just assumed you'd tell me no. And so we went into that as a couple. And, we started that business in February of 2019. And I enjoyed it. Things were a lot different back then. But see, God knew what our needs were. And I had a full year before COVID hit. And so it's like I learned the city, and I learned the ropes, the ins and outs, and all of that. And then, March of 2020 hit, all the lockdowns happened. The talk of creating a vaccine and all of this. And yes, it threw me for an absolute doozy. I was not prepared for that. But God knew what job I needed, because if I had gotten a travel agent job, I would have lost my job, and I would have more than likely, even, when the jobs came back after, things eased up, I would have been forced to have taken a vaccine that I didn't want to take. And so God knew my needs before I even knew what was going on. And so that's why a lot of times I even have to stop myself and think, because God was already in my future. He already saw me through COVID, those 2 years. He just was there. He knew what was coming, even though I didn't. And so when I just trusted him and just said, okay, God, keep the door closed on what you don't want me to do as far as work, only open the door that you want. I mean, never in a million years would I have ever thought that I would be, an Uber or Lyft driver, because I can remember, various times in my life thinking, well, I would never be a taxi driver. I just couldn't stand doing that, and basically an Uber and Lyft driver is the same thing as a taxi driver. It really is. No, I don't have, a special license, like your taxi drivers have to have, but it's the same thing. I'm usually paid, per minute and per mile, and but this has been the absolute perfect job for me, and it allows me to work on my own schedule, my own time. I can work as little or as much as I want, and I've said this before, even though I have complete control over that, I probably honestly work harder for myself than I would if I had a 9-to-5 job, because if I don't go to work one day, or it's a slow day and I don't make very much, it's like, if I'm not working, I'm not paying my bills. And so I just, for me, I worked so much harder than I ever did when I had to punch a time clock, but yeah, so I hope that maybe there's going to be other people that do this same type of job, and it's, I realize it's not for everyone, but just the freedom to come and go as you want, and the amount of income you can make if you're determined and you work hard. Even in California, with things being so high, on a good week, I'm averaging about $1,000 a week, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. And of course, out of that has to come, my gas expense, if there's any kind of maintenance or repairs, that comes out of that. But it's still worth it for me and my family and our situation. And I'm also, what makes it work for me and my husband is because he's a mechanic. And so whenever, I have to, get new brakes or, the oil changes and stuff, he does all of that, for me and for his car, and just even the family cars that we have at the house. And so, yeah, just thought I would, come on and just share some of the things that has been helpful to me to maximize, my gas usage, because I am just not gonna, a lot of times with Lyft, I decline probably 97% of the rides that come through. But see, I don't lose that feature, at least not right now. That doesn't mean that they won't change things up. But right now, I still see everything all up front, and I just take the short trips, while I'm waiting for, my deliveries to come in, and that's what works for me. And it's a way for me to be my own boss, and have more time to do things with the family. We can take a trip whenever we want to. We don't have to ask time off from a boss, and yeah. So I mean, it works great for us, and it is a pretty easy way to make extra money. The only requirements that are required is you do have to pass a background check. If you're going to be taking passengers in your car, you have to have a car that's newer. Like my car here is a 2012 Toyota Camry. And me and my husband, we're already planning that probably in a year and a half, maybe 2 years, it won't qualify for the platforms anymore. So he's already planning what my next car is going to be. And so I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but at least I can start preparing for it. Yeah, I want to make this car last as long as I can. And I've kind of thought back and forth, well, maybe when it gets to that point, maybe I just won't want to do Uber and Lyft as far as passengers, but I think I probably will. I'll just have to, get a newer car that'll be allowed to be on the platform for like another 5 to 8 years, because you never know what's going to happen in the market. And so, I got to have all my my backup gigs, lined up. Even though, yeah, I could feel the same way I do now, that I'm only going to take Lyft rides, just when everything else is slow. Because with your delivery, you don't have to have a certain year or a certain model. My oldest son has a what year is his? He has a smaller Ford truck. Me and my husband, we have a big, like, dually. It's got like 4 wheels in the back. It's like a big truck. He's got a smaller truck, but see, that's perfect. He can do all his delivery gigs with that. But see, that wouldn't qualify for the Rideshare to take passengers. And so that is an option for people that maybe you don't qualify car-wise to do Uber and Lyft as far as passengers, but you can use any car that you want, that you have, for the deliveries. And that would include Uber Eats as well, because my son, he does the Uber Eats, he does DoorDash, Grubhub, does the grocery deliveries, he does all of it. And so the only thing that you have to have for the deliveries is you have to have your background check has to pass, and you have to have obviously a driver's license, and then you have to show proof of income. But that's it. As long as your background passes and all of that, then you're fine. And it's I like it because the tips are really good. Like I said earlier, I have an app that shows me what the expected tip is, and so that can help me determine, okay, do I want to take this, or do I want to just decline and let somebody else take it? But the app that I use, it also tells you if you're going to be delivering to a house or an apartment. Now, no, I don't particularly like apartments, because when it's dark outside, unless they're really good with their instructions and say, hey, here's the gate code, or, it's building 8, and, sometimes customers will give me that information, other times they don't. In the dark, it's hard to see, but after a while, you just kind of learn the ropes with it. But yeah, I have really good insulated bags. Grubhub, if you sign up with Grubhub, they will send you, it's like their medium bag, but it's a really, really good bag. And it's all nice and insulated. You just put your food in there. And then after you've made 100 deliveries, they send you another delivery bag set, like a big bag, and then another smaller one. And so, I've made my 100 deliveries, and I got that. DoorDash will send you a bag too, but it's not as nice as the other Grubhub bag. And so when I'm doing my deliveries, it all goes in my Grubhub bag, and it really does keep your food cold or hot. Like when I have the coffee deliveries, Starbucks, Pete's Coffee, it comes in a little carrier. I just put that whole thing in my bag and zip it up, and it keeps their drinks nice and cold. So definitely appreciative of that. So yeah, it's a great way, even if you have another job and you just need a second job just to bring in, a little bit extra income. You just work when you want to. And yeah, so that's what has been working for me for over 3 years. And my hope is, I'll still be doing this, when I'm 65. Don't know where all of that's going to lead, but I think at least for the next few years, at least my job is safe. And Uber and Lyft, they are trying to get their drivers to buy the electric vehicles, because that's what they're pushing with the green agenda and all of this. And it's like, me and my husband, we've talked about it, and it's like, you're not saving any money by doing that. You really aren't. And so hopefully we won't ever have to be forced to buy an electric vehicle, but time will tell. We'll just have to see, kind of where things are at. And, they've been sending like promotional emails in the app, like, if you, rent, an electric vehicle, you get a special discount. And I've never felt that renting a vehicle to work for Uber or Lyft is a really good idea. Just because you have to work a lot of hours every week and make a certain amount for you to even make a profit above what that rental cost is. But I realize some drivers do, because they don't have they don't have a qualifying vehicle. When me and my husband first started, we had one car that we both shared. I would work in the morning, he would work at night. It was our little jelly bean car, the Yaris. It was a hatchback, and we did that from February until June, when we both made the decision that we're going to buy each of us a car for our job, and just keep the Yaris as just a backup. If one of our work cars is down, then we still have the Yaris. And so he did a lot of research, and he picked out the Camrys. And so that's what we did. And it's worked for us. And yeah, we had to do a loan for both of our cars, but we worked hard, and we had those loans paid off within a year and a half. And so all of our vehicles, with the exception of with our truck that we bought a few months ago, all of our vehicles, including our Harley, we own free and clear. We just pay the insurance on it. And so that's what we're working towards next, is paying our bills, and then putting as much as we can towards the truck payment, because we would like to have that truck paid off. Realistically, in my mind, I'm thinking we can do it by the end of next year, because at that point, then it's time to go to the next step, which I believe is going to be our motorhome, because that's our retirement. You know, when we retire, that's what we're going to live in, and that's what we've decided. And so we just have to do things, you know, one step at a time. But when you work hard and you just trust the Lord, all these things will fall into place. You know, no, it may not happen as quickly as you want it to. You might have to adjust things here and there. But yeah, I just continue to trust the Lord to, you know, provide my income for me, make sure that I have a job, and yeah. So hopefully this helps somebody out there, you know, who is doing the rideshare, or maybe you're delivery driver for DoorDash, Grubhub, and maybe something of what I've said will be helpful. So there's DoorDash, there's Grubhub, Uber Eats, and of course this is for the United States. I'm in California. And then the new one that I'm waiting on my background check to clear, it's through Walmart, but it's called Spark. And it was another driver that was there to pick up a grocery order yesterday, was talking to me. Now, he didn't know about Point Pickup Driver, that I was there to deliver groceries through Walmart. So I told him about, you know, that app, and then he told me all about Spark and gave me his referral code, and yeah, so it's like the more apps that I have, it just increases the potential of maximizing my time and making the most income. So, all right, guys, I guess that's it for now. I've yacked long enough, but just thought I would come on. I haven't, you know, done one of these rideshare videos in a long time, probably like over a year. So I thought I would just share, you know, kind of what I'm doing, and maybe it'll help someone. My rule of thumb is $2 per mile, and no tip, no trip, and just watch your miles. And the apps that I use is Gridwise. There's a lot more things you can do with Gridwise that I don't use. I use it just to track my miles every day. So I use Gridwise, and then the one that shows me, you know, if it's a house or an apartment, it shows me the upfront tip and all of that. They interface with DoorDash, Grubhub, and they are also supposed to be interfacing with Uber Eats. That is called Para, P-A-R-A. And so if anybody is interested in that, you do what I do, but you've never heard of those apps, just go into your app store on your phone and look up Gridwise, and then also Para. Those will be two that I think you will find very helpful for you. All right, guys, so I'm going to take off. Take care. God bless, and I'll just see you next time.